Hello and welcome to the second map-specific build order tutorial on Sentina III. In the last video I explained the flank slot here, and this one is going to be about the front slot. The general comments I made about the gameplay on Sentina in the tutorial of this slot also apply to the front slot, of course. So I'm not going to repeat everything. Please watch the flank slot video first, if you haven't done so yet. The front slot is pretty unique because it's one of the only positions in this game where you can go to the middle and reclaim with your ACU, and your engineers won't have to build the mass extractors before building the hydro. That's because of how close the center reclaim is. And that allows your engineers to build the hydro before building any mass extractors for a higher power start, since the mass is going to come in later, right? And the engineers are lining up in this pattern on purpose, so you can see I'm correcting the movement order of the factory every time. This has the benefit that they are not going to move after they are in place, and they can simply build this ring of mass storages immediately, right? And the fifth engineer is also assisting. So this is timed in a way that the overflow, the mass overflow, is minimized. Because usually you have 4 players per team on this map, and all 4 ACUs per team are in the center. So if you think that you may want some overflow, so your allies get some of the mass, that doesn't apply to Sentina, because on Sentina everybody's reclaiming, right? And the trick is to make use of all of the mass pretty much, and not waste any for your team. So I'm building this ring of power generators as well, again to minimize the movement of the engineers. And engineer number 6 is the one that's reclaiming trees. Otherwise these 5 engineers building mass storages would lead to a power stall. And engineer number 7 is the one that is building all the remaining mass extractors. And then you could see how I basically waited until I built this mass extractor until I had a critical number of power generators. Don't count them, that's not the idea of this build. You just wait until you have enough power, like power income, to upgrade the extractor. So each mass upgrade costs 60 power per second, and as soon as you have that much, you can start an upgrade, and start another one, and another one, and another one. You get the idea, right? And the tree reclaim is of course contributing to this, and the mass reclaim from the center too. And what's actually very important is that your ACU is going to be the one that arrives first in the center, and you are also going to be the ACU that is the closest to the enemy side. That means you are going to take most of the gunfire, and usually you're going to be on low HP, like 4000 HP or something like that. That is why it's important to evacuate into the water and let your allies do the rest of the fight, so that you don't die, right? And you move the ACU to the water, and after it's in the water, you want to make use of its build power. You don't have enough like time and power to do an ACU upgrade usually, and that's also not going to benefit you as much, because if you go T2 or gun, you could use it here, but the other ACUs might just evacuate, right, into the water. So it's better to just build Navy. And we're going to build frigates from 4 naval factories in this position. This position is shortening the supply route to the enemy side of the map, and you can easily reach it and harass their naval production. Sometimes you can even lock the enemy out of the naval game from the very start. I'm still upgrading lots of mass extractors, and basically I'm starting the next upgrade whenever my power allows it. And note how there was some power overflow. That's probably because I built an unrealistically high amount of T1 power generators due to the lack of team overflow. This is just a sandbox game, remember? And I self-destructed my 2 land factories. I added a second one to get more engineers for tree reclaim, but now I self-destructed it because I was overflowing so much power and had no mass, and I could reintegrate this mass of the 2 factories into additional mass extractor upgrades, right? And there were some rocks here and trees, which I reclaimed, and there are some rocks and trees here as well, which I also reclaimed. And note how a large portion of my build power is moving to this position. This is a quite protected position usually, so if your side player has some naval production here, then you can easily build some navy here and it won't be harassed. And this goes to T2 immediately. So the idea is that your T1 naval production is here, and it can raid this site with frigates immediately. And the rest of your naval production is here, and that's going to build destroyers. So the first unit that's built is a T2 engineer, and you're going to need this for TMD, which is positioned here, and T2 power, of course, right? Because the T2 power is going to be your enabler for T3 mixes, as well as potential RAS later, right? Usually you should not build more than 2 T2 power generators with this engineer, because your air player is going to be the first to get resource allocation system upgrade. And you can simply get your own upgrade on the overflow power of your ally. So no need to invest into T2 power generators too much. So flexibly pausing and unpausing some engineers and the ACU, depending on how much power I'm getting. I don't want to stall power, of course, right? And note how we got 12,000 reclaim, right? This is not an unrealistically high amount of reclaim. We didn't steal any reclaimables from our allies, and most of the middle reclaim our allies would get is also still here. And the opponent's side is completely untouched. So this is actually a realistically high amount of reclaim, and maybe around 9,000 of this is in the center, and the rest is going to be around your base, in the trees and rocks. And note how I'm not getting any ACU upgrade at all, and that would probably be too expensive, and the ACU is better used building some naval factories here, and then it moves to the base. So from this position, if the enemy uses land units, you can easily overcharge everything. Your allies' ACUs are also going to be here. And if there is some hover spam, then you build a wall here, right? Quite easily, and on this side as well. But your T2 Navy and T1 Navy should take care of any hovers mass for mass, so hovers are usually not a concern on this map. It may not be intuitive to everybody that the front player on this map goes Navy, but that's actually how you're supposed to play it. Because otherwise, the enemy front player, who may build land instead of Navy, is in the end going to be an empty slot to the team. And it's going to be, well, air player versus air player, and 3 naval players against 2 naval players. And who's going to win is going to be obvious, right? Now this is a little bit of mismanagement. Had some trouble on pausing these engineers in time, but some tree reclaim can make up for this. And the goal here is to get T2 power, then get several T3 mixes, and a later extra T2 power, and then the RAS. So we are now at minute 12, and as you can see, there's already a lot of Navy on the field. And this is a very dedicated naval build. And we are going to eco up more, so in the end we can add extra naval factories here, right? Maybe we could build around 2 or 3 land factories here, which we upgrade to T2 support factories. Of course we need an HQ first, but never mind that. And these could spam non-stop T2 engineers, and these T2 engineers are going to support the naval factory. Why are we using T2 engineers instead of T1 engineers? Well, they are not going to be as vulnerable to T1 bombers, and they have also more stuff in the build menu, right? While not costing a lot more. So usually it's recommended to do T2 engineer spam for large-scale T2 navy, and then you would have these factories building T2 engineers and some extra naval factories, support factories, which all build destroyers. And generally you always build destroyers if you're Aeon, and only if you need some anti-air you build a cruiser. Submarines are generally not needed, I guess. The destroyer is just better mass for mass. And frigates are going to be the backbone of your navy, so you have a lot of these all the time. So 2 T3 massing structures are finished now, and this is building torpedo bombers. So it's around minute 14 right now, and in a usual game you would probably be on the RAS upgrade already, but since I don't have a teammate here who's overflowing power from their RAS, I can't do so in this replay. But yeah, this stall wouldn't be happening since there already is power overflow, as I said, and having 3 T3 mixes and RAS at around minute 14, 15 seems pretty good. And then you can upcycle your T2 power generators into your economy, maybe go T3 air. And it's important that you add extra factories later to get the build power for the air, right? So this map is a little out of the box. It's not land-centric, even though there's land passage, and you don't see a ton of ACU play usually. So sometimes Seraphine players are going to make use of the regeneration field to heal their ships and use that ACU in the center, and in the water. But other than that, ACU aggression is relatively rare because of how easy it is to get sniped here. So I hope you like this build order, and the least you should have learned is that the front player goes Navy on this map, and good luck and fun in your games.